Page 271, chapter 13, section 4. Proper time and duration of lighting. So there's two issues. The proper time to start and the duration, how long it's supposed to last. The sages ordained that one must light the Hanukkah candles when the miracle will be publicized most effectively. In the past, when there were no street lights, at nightfall the streets would fill with people returning home from their daily activities. Therefore, the sages declared that the proper time to light the candles is from sunset until the marketplace empties out. Okay, this is based on the traffic in society. There was no such thing as being out after dark. At least not normal people. Normal people were not out after dark. When things got dark, you went home, you eat, you were with your family, and you went to sleep, and you got up at daybreak to go out to the farm, to take care of the, before it got too hot in the hot Middle Eastern summers, you have to do the work of the day as early as possible. And then they got to bed early. Someone once said, what was it? Benjamin Franklin? Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. So in any case, this was the standard. People were not out very late after it got dark. Until the marketplace empties out. How long does it take? Our sages, usually, we'll see in a minute, they say it takes about half an hour. The truth is, they say that there's always people that are late. There's actually a group of people, and most people are home by when it gets dark. And they come, they finish work half an hour early, whatever it is, and they make sure they have enough time to get, because after dark it's dangerous. It could be bandits attacking you in the dark. Of course, we have electricity now, so the whole world has changed. But first, let's understand the original enactment, how they envisioned it. And there's a group of peddlers whose they didn't have a very good job, or they didn't have very good wares to sell, but what they did sell was some little things that everybody needed. For example, firewood, kindling for firewood, little tiny twigs. And that, apparently there was an aftermarket. What do I mean by that? I mean, people would go home, realize they'd have to light the fire for the evening, and then say, we ran out of kindling. We don't have any matches, so they'd run out to the market. Well, it's after dark. It's just at the end of when the market's emptying out, and those last people running to get there. Nowadays, I don't know, people go out late at night to get a pack of cigarettes or something. Things that you need. You realize that you forget sometimes. So the people selling the kindling, they were the last people out there. Kindling is little sticks that help you light a fire. Oh. Kindling is little twigs that help you light a fire. So this market of peddlers, they're the definition. How long can you light the Hanukkah candles? Until those people go home. When those peddlers are done, you know that nobody else is coming out to market. They wait until the last people are out there in the marketplace. And this is what the Talmud says. Okay, how long does that take? So the assumption is, we're going to see, is about a half an hour till the marketplace empties out at dark. And then after dark, there's a few people still trying to grab a few things, like this kindling. And until that empties out, usually it's about a half an hour. After that, simple understanding is you cannot light Hanukkah candles anymore, because who's going to see it? It's very nice you put it at the door. Yesterday we figured out the window, the door of the courtyard, lots of options. But the whole point is to show it to people that are passing by. But if there's no passers-by, then there's nobody to show it to. So the simple understanding is that you have a short window of opportunity in order to light your Hanukkah candles. And after that, that's it. Time over. You don't get to do the mitzvah anymore. Till the next day. Also, I say a window of opportunity. When does the window begin? By the way, there's cake there. It's for you, for everybody to share. There's some cake, and also there's bread if somebody wants to wash. This was a gift to us, beautiful gift. There's a project started by volunteers. Yeah, I believe in a lunch food in a community. Yeah, open up, take the cake out. The challah you can leave in the bag. Take the cake out so everybody feels comfortable taking a piece. Here's a knife that I've donated to the room because we often enough have cake that we need a knife for, so I brought one from home. Paper would be nice, yeah. The bread, wrap it up and put it aside because someone who wants to wash can take it home. But as you can see, there's a note there, and the note is from this project. It says, I don't need it, but the project was, there are so many soldiers, good morning, Stephen, who are at the front. And everybody is sending them packages and making food for them and buying things for the soldiers. It's beautiful, heartwarming. But somebody's being forgotten. Who's being forgotten? The families at home. The wives, the mothers. And nobody's taking care of them. Nobody realizes what they're going through. Sleepless nights, worrying about their children, and sending all this stuff. So this organization decided, we're going to get together and send care packages to the families of the soldiers. And then they thought, well, let's do something smart. They went to each and every soldier and gave them the opportunity, write a note to your family as if the package is coming from you, from the soldier on the front, to be able to give something back to his support team at home. Very sweet idea. So my son signed up. He wrote a beautiful note to us. And we got this package for my son. Of course, logistics are not perfect. We actually received the package when he was home for the weekend. Happened to be he got out that weekend, but whatever, it arrived, but it's the thought that counts. And the cake is pretty tasty too, as far as I understand. So it's a nice thing.
Care packages to the families of the soldiers?
That's what I just said, yeah. Yeah, it's a nice organization. People are thinking of all types of ways that they can make this horrible war a little bit more palatable and manageable, and giving everybody who needs support as much as possible support. Anyways, so help yourselves, whoever wants, like some of the cake, and the challah is there on the side. Whoever wants it, they can have it. Back to the window for Hanukkah candles. I call it a window, so we've been talking about when the window closes, the ending time. It's when the last peddlers leave the market. But when does it start? So you could light candles now. You could light candles in the afternoon. The Gemara has an expression, Shraga b'tihara maya hani. What use is a candle in the daytime? You've got the sunlight. So the mitzvah is not to light the candles in the daytime. The mitzvah candles is when it's dark out. You light candles, it's noticeable. But wait, when it's dark out, nobody's home. Nobody's in the marketplace to see it. So it's a small window. When it's starting to get dark, and so the candles are going to be noticeable. But it's not yet so dark, so there's still people passing by. That's why I call it a window of opportunity. How's that window defined? This is page 271. The sages say, from sunset until the marketplace empties out. Okay, so we have to define both Nowadays we have 6 p.m., we have times, we're very precise. We try to understand exactly what that window is. What about if you're leaving the house before sunset? Can you not light the candles? Very interesting questions are going to come up. What happens if you get home late at night? Nowadays, of course, a half an hour after dark. We stay up till 3 hours after dark, 10 hours after, in the middle of the night sometimes. If people work shift. There's a lot of questions that come up. But first, we're starting with the basic definition. The window is from sunset, sun goes down, it starts to get dark. So you're going to notice a candle. Sunset until when the marketplace empties out. Let's see how this plays out. Page 271, the last line. Okay? Stephen, will you read for us, please? The Rishonim disagree. Page 271, the last line.
The Rishonim disagree whether sunset here refers to the beginning of sunset, meaning when the sun disappears from view, or to the end of sunset, meaning when the sunlight disappears from view as well as the stars become visible. On one hand, at the beginning of sunset, the streets are more crowded. On the other hand, since there is still a relatively large amount of sunlight, at that time, the candles are less visible. Therefore, it's better to wait until Z HaKokavim to light. Indeed, the widespread practice in Israel is to light at Z, which is about 20 minutes after Shekia in Israel. Another issue that arises, however, is that men are obligated.
Stop there for a second. So I just want to relate to this. So, Shekia, sunset, right? Sunset equals Shkia, setting of the sun. Remember we learned the laws of Shabbat? We said after sunset, there's another period that's called in between the next marker is called Tzeit HaKochavim, or the stars come out. What's the period in between called? Right. Bein between the suns. Interesting expression. But usually we assume it's about in between 13 to 20 to some people say it's even 35 minutes. This period. He says 20 minutes is the standard that we use. We use the standard of 20 minutes on a daily basis. If you want to know when you can start reciting the Shema, davening Marav, Tzeit HaKochavim, 20 minutes after the sunset. The sunset, this is when when you have the horizon, and you have the ball of the sun, it disappears underneath the horizon. That's when the sun has set. That moment, today is at 4:35, according to the calendar I looked at 2 days ago. Maybe it hasn't changed. This is like the earliest it's going to be all winter. Approximately 4:35, sunset. And we learned what's important about this marker, Shekia, when it comes to the laws of Shabbat. After the sun has set, no more melacha. Not even lighting candles. Even for Shabbat. Can't do any melacha after Shekia. Okay, we're more machmer that because this period of twilight, we give it the word twilight. That period is considered halachically to be doubtfully day and doubtfully night. Safek yom, safek light. If it's doubtfully night, that means it's Shabbat, an Erev Shabbat, right? So you can't do any melacha because it might be Shabbat. So anyways, this is for regarding Shabbat. But now we're talking about the candles. The candles, we don't really care about Tzeit HaKochavim. We don't really care about whether it's day or night. Halachically, is it this day? We're supposed to light the candles when it's visible, for this window of opportunity. The window apparently starts by Shekiah and goes until the peddlers leave the market. Whenever that is, however long that is. I don't know how long it is. We'll talk about the duration. But we don't really care about the night versus day question here. But the best time, says Rabbi Melamed, when you think about traffic, even in ancient times, to start lighting your candles, the moment the sun went down, it's still very light outside. Those candles are not going to be noticeable. It's almost as if there's no major difference between the sun and the ball of the sun is above the horizon or below. There's still lots of light. And so it's better, he says, even though we read it together, it says from when the sun sets. That's when you light your candles. He says most people assume it's better to wait a few minutes, but usually about 20 minutes. And if that happens to be Tzeit Kochavim, and so many people think what that Gemara meant when it said sunset, it actually meant Tzeit Kochavim. It meant when it gets dark. Sunset itself, not so dark. So what it meant is the beginning of the evening. When it gets dark. And so that's why many people say you should light when the stars come out. Now, how many minutes? We said 20 minutes is a good average, but of course it changes, for the seasons. When we wait, when Shabbat ends, when the Shabbat ends, when the stars come out, when do the stars come out? How many minutes after the sun sets? For Shabbat, we wait 35 minutes. 35 minutes after sunset. To be machmer, to be strict. We don't turn on our phones. We don't start traveling. We don't make Havdalah until 35 minutes after sunset. Because we're machmer. Because this is a little bit variable. How many stars, big stars, small stars, it's how to calculate it depends on your height and your geographical place. There's a lot of variability here. So for mitzvot d'oraita, we're machmir to wait until 35 minutes after for Havdalah, for Shabbat, for example. But on a regular day, most communities will daven Mariv, even though we need to say the Shema after dark. 20 minutes is enough. Some people even 13 minutes is enough. It depends on the situation. But when it comes to Hanukkah candles, we're not really waiting for halachic night. We don't have to wait 35 minutes. There's no point in defining it as the next day. What we care about, is it dark? Is it dark enough to make a candle significant? And that everybody agrees that the beginning of Tzeit Kochavim, the first most marking, not even 13 minutes, but usually about 20 minutes in these parts, in Israel. It's usually about 20 minutes later when you can actually see 3 stars, and most people assume that's when you light the Hanukkah candles. The Tzeit Kochavim version, here I have A, B, and C. So version B of Tzeit Kochavim is when most people light the candles. Personally, we're going to see, he doesn't get into it. I think it's in the footnotes. There is a custom in Jerusalem that they actually light at sunset, like it says in the Talmud. Talmud says, when's the time for lighting the candles? From sunset. So, makes a lot of sense. You should light candles at sunset. It doesn't say Tzeit Kochavim, and it is already somewhat dark. And the candles are going to last. There's going to be duration. They're going to burn throughout the twilight period. So I'd like to light it at sunset, like the original halacha in the Gemara is. And usually, I'm a little bit late. It's just natural. If you have family members, somebody's in the bathroom, somebody's on the phone, somebody's traveling, they're a little late. If I aim for sunset, sometimes it works out to be about 15 minutes later. and then it's perfect, actually. According to all opinions, it's already darker and it's clear. In the bottom, does he get into here? In the bottom of in the footnote at the bottom, he brings the different opinions. You could see the community in Jerusalem would light at sunset. I'm on page 272 in the footnote. That's coming next. That's the next issue. We're gonna talk about Mariv in a minute. But leaving Mariv out for a second, just the question: when's the ideal time to light candles? Basically, we have two opinions. Basically, is Shkia or 20 minutes after Shkia. Famously, there's the opinion of Rabbi Tam. We talked about it regarding Shabbat, that you have to wait 72 minutes after sunset till it's really dark. So I guess you can light your Hanukkah candles then, but they're differences of opinion. Here on the board, in Machon Meir, usually they put up the following notice. And they say, Sfardim, for sure, light at Tzeta Kochavim. Tzeta Kochavim, as I defined, about 20 minutes after Shkia. Some Ashkenazim light then too, and some Ashkenazim light earlier at the Shkia. That's the Minhag Yerushalayim. There's some group of Hasidim of the Gra, students of the Gra. They lit. That was his opinion. You should actually light at sunset. And so we have a few different opinions about when's the best time to light. But it's clearly, the bottom line is at the beginning of the evening. The beginning of the evening, you have a short window, because if you wait too long, then nobody's out on the streets and you'll be missing out your window of opportunity. Now, what's the problem? That exactly when do we start davening Mariv? Many people daven Mariv the first chance they can. The first chance they can is Tzeta Kochavim. Now you got a clash. You've got two mitzvot to do at Tzeta Kochavim, according to the majority opinion, that you light at Tzeta Kochavim. You've got to do the mitzvah of Mariv and Shema and Birkot Shema and the Amidah, and you've got to light Hanukkah candles. Which should you do first? What do you think? And why? Why?
You need to say Shema. You're coherent.
You have to do say Shema, but you also have to light Hanukkah candles. It's the Oraita. Good. You're looking at what's the source of the law. Is it a biblical level law or a rabbinic level law? Good. Hanukkah is a rabbinic law, and Shema is a biblical law. So maybe you should do the biblical first. Good thinking. Give me another halachic thinking, another idea. Maybe you haven't heard of this before, so I'll tell it to you. There's a principle in the Talmud. It says when you have two customs, and one is a regular custom, it's called in Hebrew tadir. If you have tadir and she'eino tadir, a practice which is not a regular practice, the general rule is tadir kodem. The regular one takes precedence. So here we have davening Mariv, saying Shema and davening Mariv. We do it every day. So that gets the definition of tadir, something that's a regular practice. And then you have, on the other hand, Hanukkah candles. Hanukkah candles, it's not so regular. It's only 8 days in the entire year. It's not a regular, constant practice. So it's eino tadir. So which comes first? According to the principle in the Talmud, tadir v'she'eino tadir, tadir kodem. And so another reason, Eov, why you're correct, that maybe we should daven Mariv first. The only problem is, let's say you daven Mariv, like my son. His Mariv takes at least an hour. So you start davening Mariv at Tzeta Kochavim, you keep going for an hour. What's going to close? The window of opportunity. There's not going to be anybody more on the streets. You won't be able to do Hanukkah candles at all. So if the mitzvah is going to be pushed off totally and you won't be able to fulfill it, then there might be a reason to go in the other direction. Say, light Hanukkah candles first, so that you catch that window of opportunity when the ideal time for lighting is. And afterwards, you could have Mariv a whole night long. There's no end limit for the Shema Esrei until the following morning, without getting into the details of the laws of Mariv right now. But it's a much longer window. In any case, you have a long time to daven Mariv. So do the one which has a limited time first. Makes sense, right? So there's a debate. Then there's another consideration. Now, what happens? Let's say this is assuming that everybody davens Mariv the moment Seita Kochavim is. Whether 20 minutes after Shkia or 30 minutes after Shkia, you go to Mariv right away. When do we daven Mariv here in Yeshiva? At Seita Kochavim? We do it, 7:30? 7:30. Every day. Regardless of when it gets dark. Obviously it got dark much earlier. It's dark, Seita Kochavim, Shabbat was out at 5:14 this week. That's Seita Kochavim. The Machon Meir Shita of Seita Kochavim, 35 minutes. Okay, Rabbeinu Tam, add another half an hour, 5:45. How come we're not davening a Mariv at 5:30, 5:45, 6:30, 7? We wait until 7:30 to daven Mariv. There is a system where people have a regular schedule. And if that works out with your schedule, it's fine. You don't have to daven Mariv the first second. Nobody said that. There are rules. You're not allowed to eat beforehand. It's a little bit of a problem. There are issues, but you're allowed to daven Mariv later, especially if that's your regular custom. Regular custom, daven Mariv at 7:30, so why should Hanukkah be any different? Continue to daven Mariv at 7:30. And that solves our problem. When it gets dark, you have your window of opportunity for the Hanukkah candles. What about Mariv? Who davens Mariv immediately at Seita Kochavim? I don't. I daven at 7:30 every day, or I have a minyan in my yeshuv at 9 o'clock every day. People want to put the kids to sleep, and then, 9 o'clock, there's a regular Mariv. There's another one at 20 to 9. Different minyanim. There's one which is right away at Seita Kochavim. Shul I usually daven at has mincha. They finish usually on the dot when the sun goes down. You're supposed to finish mincha before the sun goes down, before Shkia, at the end of the day. And then they wait, they have a shir for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then they start Mariv. The first chance they can at Seita Kochavim. So now it's going to depend what shul you go to. If you're a regular at a minyan that does mincha and then a shir and then mariv at Seita Kochavim, probably you should do that. Your Shema, it's biblical, it's at Seita Kochavim, it's tadir, it's the regular mariv. Do it then. But if you regularly frequent a different mariv, daven mariv later, so then you should probably light your Hanukkah candles at the proper time. The short window of opportunity when it gets dark. And you'll continue going to your regular Mariv at 7:30 or 8 or 9 or whatever it is. Make sense? Okay, let's see. Let's see on page 273. Okay, Eov, will you read for us now? Another issue arises.
Another issue that arises, however, is that men are obligated to pray Mariv, and many regularly do so immediately at Seif. For these men, praying Mariv take precedence over lighting Hanukkah candles, since the former is a more constant practice than the later. Additionally, by praying Mariv, they also fulfill the Torah commandment to say the Shema in the beginning. After praying, they should return home quickly in order to light as close as possible to Seif. Those who usually pray Mariv later should light candles at Seif and pray at their usual time. Even though one fulfills one's obligation, as long as the Hanukkah candles remain lit for half an hour, some say that nowadays when people regularly walk through the streets well beyond Seif, it is preferable to beautify the mitzvah by lighting candles that will remain lit for 2 hours or more. They contend that this is a commendable practice because the The more people that sees the candle, the more miracle will be publicized.
It's a nice idea. It's not an obligation. Commendable practice, he says. Who does he quote? He doesn't even quote where it comes from. I think it's just a popular practice. People that, understand that the candles are there to publicize. The longer the candles, if people are still going to see it, so have them lit longer, and you'll publicize the miracle for more people that pass by. And nowadays people do go. They don't go. The roads don't empty out at 5 p.m. So why light Hanukkah candles for only half an hour? Light them for 5 hours. Put in a whole jug. If you can spare the money. Oil can be expensive, especially if you use olive oil. You don't have to use olive oil, right? We talked about it. You could use wax. You could use anything for that. That's going to burn well. But okay, so now we're going to skip for a minute and go to number 6, and we'll come back to Shabbat in a minute. Number 6 and 7. Yeah, page 275, please. Yeah. Question.
Can we like to Hanukkah?
Only one with a bracha, but you can write another one, like we mentioned the other day. Maybe you want to publicize the miracle from the window in one direction, and in the doorway in the other direction. It's a nice thing to do, but you only make one bracha. Yeah. Okay. I said we were Ashkenazim. Every member of the household lights with a bracha, so you can split it up. Have one family member light in one place, and another family member light in another place, both with a bracha, because each one's saying their own bracha. But if you're not Ashkenazi and only one person is saying the bracha, so the first that you light will be the fulfillment of the obligation, and then the other ones will be an enhancement of the miracle of the mitzvah. Okay, delaying candle lighting when necessary. This is all assuming that we have a window of opportunity. Let's read number 6 on page 275. Okay, Yosef.
Delaying candle lighting when necessary. As we have seen in the time of sages, people generally turn home at nightfall. Therefore, the sages stated that the mitzvah to light Hanukkah candles extend from sunset until the marketplace empties out. The expression "until the marketplace empties out" refers to the time when the poor people who would collect leftover food from the market stalls would return to their homes. This was about half an hour after lighting time.
This is a different interpretation of what I said about the peddlers with the kindling. Some people say it was poor people who were collecting leftovers, but it's about a half an hour. That's the assumption. Okay.
Nowadays, when the electric lighting and most people continue working for several hours after dark, the best time to light is still the time that the sages ordained, from tzait until half an hour afterward. However, if one finds it difficult to return home by tzait, he may light later. One should try to return home as soon as possible in order to light close to the ideal time ordained by the sages. Specifically, one should make an effort not to light later than 9 p.m. Until then, it is standard for people to come home from work, so as the period of the evening is still considered, until the marketplace emptied out. One should make sure not to eat a meal, meaning a kerbetza, of a bread or mezonot until after lighting.
Okay, so basically what this paragraph just said is that all those definitions that we talked about from the periods of the sages, they don't apply anymore. We have electricity. People don't they live there by the routine of the sun coming up and coming down. You have to be at work from 9 to 5, whether it's dark outside or whether it's light outside. And some people work until 7 p.m. every day. Their schedules are much more flexible because we have electric lights and heating and everything else. So the schedules don't really follow the sun so much. It's this whole idea, there's not going to be any people in the marketplace anymore a half an hour after it gets dark. Some people only get off work and the marketplace fills up at night more than it does during the daytime. Right? If you go to the malls, it's a busy time, or the stores, or restaurants. People go out to eat at 6, 7, 8. 9 o'clock is the prime time you can't get a seat, right? Not at 5. At 5, the tables are empty. So our society has changed. So maybe the halacha has to change too. The idea is that you want to light when people can see it. So then, maybe the beginning time has to change, maybe the end time has to change. Nobody really says you're not allowed to light when it gets dark. 5 when shkia, and a few minutes later, so that you can see the candles. As soon as it gets dark, that's really the beginning of the evening. That's the ideal time to light. And of course, there are people around. If the people are around later, also, so maybe that period of half an hour gets extended to hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, until there's a great rabbi in Jerusalem who they asked him, when's the last time we could light candles? And he gave an amazing definition. His house was right next to, in those days, Jerusalem was a small town. And basically there was one movie theater. And his house was right next to the movie theater. And he said, after the last showing, I see the crowds are coming out of the movie at 11 o'clock, whatever it is. And I think still now, the buses stop at 12 midnight. So whatever it is, when traffic stops, when people stop being around, that's when you can light Hanukkah candles until that window has expanded now based on the behavior of the community, of the public. So if people are out and about until the last thing in Jerusalem used to be a sleepy town. It still is in somewhat compared to Tel Aviv. Right? Tel Aviv is known as the town that never sleeps. And Jerusalem, that's the small town. Although Jerusalem is actually bigger than Tel Aviv when it comes to number of people in the municipality. In any case, so it really depends where you live and what the traffic is like and what the customs of the people are. Around Kiryat Moshe might be different than in the center of town, and in Tekoa might be different than what it's like in Beersheba, or every different place has their a population and what the customs are, and whether so when the market empties out, there's not so many cars on the street anymore. It's easy to see cars on the street now also, but it means people are walking, people are up and about. Then it can get more problematic. The question is, what happens if you're later than that? You come home at 1 a.m. and the last movie's out and there's no buses and there's not a lot of people out. Can you light the Hanukkah candles? You didn't get a chance beforehand. It's not ideal, but it could happen. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But I was teaching in a yeshiva many years ago, different yeshiva. And it came Hanukkah time. I think I had classes. I had time to be in yeshiva. Let's say it's 9 to 5. So I said to the Rosh Yeshiva, this was a new yeshiva, so it's first year. It closed after a year or two. I have that effect on yeshivas. In any case, I said to this, okay, it's Hanukkah, so I need to get back to Tekoa to light candles at Shkia, it's 8, when it gets dark, which is around 4:30. So I'm going to leave at 4. He said, no, you're not. You have a job. Even though it was a yeshiva, which you would expect they would alter their schedule to fit the timing of halacha, he said, it's more important to teach Torah. If you have a regular scheduled classes until 5, 6 p.m., you finish your class 5, 6 p.m., and then you go home and you light at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Like when he came from the business world, this is the way it is in business. People don't close their businesses at 5 in the afternoon just because it's Hanukkah. You keep working, you finish the day, you come home, and then you light candles. Nowadays, we don't have to stick so carefully to the definitions of Chazal, of that first half an hour after Shkia. People are up and about later. And if you have another thing significant to do, like if you're going to stay at work because you have hours that you're supposed to be at work, why not working at teaching Torah also? It's an interesting thing. teaching Torah, you'd think, well, Torah, we should follow the halacha, which is to light at sunset. Halacha is not about lighting at sunset. It's an ideal situation. But if you have a good reason to push it off, nowadays, when we have an extended window of opportunity because of electricity and the way, the custom of the community, that people stay up later and are up and about later, if you need to push it off, you can push it off. So you don't have to go crazy to leave work early to light Hanukkah candles. Some people do, some people don't. Very interesting. I think most yeshivas don't do that. Most yeshivas, they rearrange the schedule so you can light at the proper time. And then you come back. After lighting candles, you go back to yeshiva. It's a little backwards from the concept of, it was supposed to be when people go home at night and they stay. You light the candles before you go to sleep, when you have family time. What do? Sometimes now we go home, light the candles, and then you go back to work, or you go back to your daily activities. Here in yeshiva, we have schedules. We have shiurim, and we have sedarim, and we have parties, and all sorts of things after lighting the candles. So the whole society works a little differently now. There's a debate. Some people are more careful. You must light when it gets dark, like it says in the mitzvah of the Gemara. And some people say, that's if all other things are equal. But if you have a good reason to push it off, you need to travel, you need to shop, you need to go to work, whatever it is, you can do it a little later, just not too late. If you get too late, then if nobody's out in the streets, after 11, depends where you live, then you're getting into trouble. But if you need to push it off by an hour or 2 hours, and not light at Shkia 4:35, 20 minutes later, 10 to 5, 5 to 5. If you can't light at 5, it's not the end of the world. You can light at 6, light at 7, light at 8, light at 9. You're all within that window of when people are still out and it's dark. But of course, we're very traditional people, and the Gemara says, do it sunset, beginning of the evening. You should do the mitzvot first. And so until today, you'll see some people are very, very careful to get home in time for candle lighting. Some people say, well, today it doesn't work out. I have to go to work, I have to stay, I have to go visit someone. I'll light candles a little bit later. Not the end of the world. Makes sense.
You're not supposed to eat.
That's the tricky part. Before you do any mitzvah, you're not allowed to eat. Because the sages, you eat, you'll drink, you'll get drunk, you'll forget about it, and you'll miss the mitzvah. So there's a rule that a half an hour before the time of a mitzvah starts, you're not allowed to eat or drink. We have that by many mitzvot.
Why we do mincha before lunch?
Yeah, it's true. Also mincha.
And Mariv too, we should eat after Mariv?
Mariv, ideally, you should. We're going to see now that there's special allowances when you have a regular schedule. The rabbis were less afraid that you're going to skip the mitzvah if it's part of your regular schedule. So if you have a regular Mariv at 7:30 or 9 o'clock, you're allowed to eat beforehand. The regular schedule is the equivalent. There's another trick you can do, and that is to ask someone to remind you. So you're not allowed to eat. The whole point is because you might forget. But if you ask someone to remind you, then you won't forget. Nowadays, put an alarm. Put an alarm on your phone, and that is your reminder. You can eat before Mariv, you can eat before Mincha, as long as you put on a reminder that you don't forget. Most poskim assume that's allowed. All right, so let's see it inside. Page 275. At the bottom of the page, Yosef, in some synagogues.
In some synagogues, regular Torah class takes place following Mariv, and if people leave to light candles after Mariv, the class will be cancelled. In such case, it is preferable to hold the class as usual, and attendants should light Hanukkah candles afterward, because the mitzvah of Torah study takes precedence over the value of lighting the candles at the ideal time.
Right, it's a little more complicated, of course, but there is different opinions about that. But if it's a regular Torah class, you don't want to cancel it. And that's what my Rosh Yeshiva was telling me. You don't want to cancel the class because of the Hanukkah candles. You put the Hanukkah candles a little bit later. The regular Torah study is very significant. Yesterday I was at a Sheva Brachot for my niece who got married, and I went to a place, and we got there a little early, so I'll go in at 11 Mariv, and there it was. There's Mariv at 7. After Mariv, it was a Daf Yomi, regular Torah class. Every day after Mariv, they daven. They have the daily Daf, the page of Talmud that they study. So you don't want to cancel that, because if you say, Mariv, go to candles. Even Mariv, we debated whether you should light candles first. Mariv first, and then candles. But if people go home for the candles, they're not going to come back again. They do Mariv and the Shir together. It goes together. So you can push off the Hanukkah candles by another half an hour, whatever it is. Nowadays, because people are up and about much later, you have time. So there's a conflict of values. Hanukkah candles can be pushed off. Now, this is a tricky business. Let's keep learning. Keep learning. And let's say you're not home at the time of lighting Hanukkah candles. Take a look on page 283. 283, section 11. We'll come back and read the others in a section. If a married man goes alone on Hanukkah to visit friends or family while his wife remains at home. Okay, so now we have, usually they light together. It's a family holiday, it's beautiful. But this time the husband's away for a meeting, or he's visiting other friends, and the wife is at home. And what happens? It gets dark. It's the regular time for lighting Hanukkah candles when it gets dark. His wife must light the candles. And the mitzvah is to light the candles in your home. So if the wife does it, she can do it on behalf of the husband. Women are obligated in Hanukkah candles like men, so women can assist their husbands in doing the mitzvah of lighting candles. So he fulfills the mitzvah when she lights for him at the proper time. He's going to be late. So she lights the candles without him. Simple halachic thinking is she should light the candles at the proper time, have him in mind, and he'll be fulfilling his obligation. There's only a few problems with that. One is that he should hear the bracha. What's another problem? Saying right, well, she's publicizing the miracle for him. So she's doing that for him, and it's true, he's not hearing the brachot, but he could hear the brachot from somebody else. We saw that in the first chapter, right? We can split sometimes the lighting and the hearing the brachot. So maybe he could do that. The other problem is we are egotistical. We like to do things ourselves. I want to light my own Hanukkah candles. Halachically, it's best to do it at the beginning of the time, and let your wife light it for you, and you'll be fulfilling your obligation. No, but I want to light my own Hanukkah candles. And I'm not going to get home at 1 in the morning. I'm going to get home at 9 in the evening. 9 in the evening, still people are out. I can light the candles later. We said if there's a pressing need, you can push it off, as long as you're within the window where people are still going to see it. So some people don't like following this halacha. Also, there's the problem that I won't be hearing the brachot if I just fulfill. And there's another problem. The other problem is, this is not a negative thing. Even wanting to do the mitzvah yourself is not so negative, right? You want to feel connected. Although halachic thinking is, do it at the right time. There is a value to doing the mitzvah yourself. There's another value here. And this is what I think Stephen was saying before. That there's a togetherness. You want to light together with your wife. And your wife wants to light together with you. We're a family. It's a family holiday. And so the cut and dried halachic thinking is failing us here a little bit. So let's see what Rav Melamed says. Nevertheless, so first statement was, if a married man goes alone on Hanukkah, to visit friends or family while his wife remains home, his wife must light the candles. And this exempts him from lighting. Who was reading now? Yosef, were you reading? Who was reading? Stephen, were you? No, he wasn't, but you can continue. Nevertheless, page 283, yeah.
Even though he fulfilled his obligation to life, some maintain that he does not fulfill his obligation to publicize the miracle and to see the candle. Therefore, he should hear the bracha and see the candle in his host home or in the synagogue in order to participate in thanking God for the miracle. If the married guest wishes to light candle himself according to the Ashkenazi custom, he may do so with the bracha, but he should try to light before his wife get light at home. According to Sephardi custom, he should not light. If he is staying in a hotel or in an empty apartment, even if his wife is lighting candle at home, he should light where he is. According to Ashkenazi custom, he should recite the bracha. According to Sephardi custom, if he is in Israel, he should not recite the bracha. While if he is abroad, he should recite them.
Okay, you're really supposed to make the light Hanukkah candles in your home. If you're not in your home, some people say, well, wherever you're staying that night becomes your home for the night. So if you're in a hotel, that's your home. You can light there. But that's a tricky business. A lot of people are coming with this question now on page 285 at the top. A married soldier on reserve duty. So technically, does not need to light, shalom, shalom. Yeah, does not need to light candles, as his wife is lighting, on behalf of both of them, at home. Right, his home is not in reserves. His home is at home. He's just, he has to be on guard duty, whatever he's doing, in Miluim. Nowadays, they're fighting. So they don't have to light candles there because their wives are lighting for them. And what about the brachot? If you can, you hear the brachot from a different soldier who was lighting. If no one on the base is lighting, he should light in the mess hall with the brachot.
If you can get home like at 9, should you try and light together with your wife?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and he's going to talk about it, I think, later. I think it depends on the family relationship, and I think many women will be offended if you light without them, or if you light without them. That's what we have to go back to now, to section 7. Go back to section 7, page 276, waiting for a family member, and he discusses that issue. So what if it's we've been talking about husband and wife. What if it's a child? But you want the child to light Hanukkah candles together with you. But he's in the middle of his ballet lesson. Or piano lesson, or whatever it is. He's playing at his friend's house. It's 5 p.m. That's not the end of the day. So we're going to learn this, B'ezrat Hashem. We'll continue the details of when exactly to light in all these different circumstances tomorrow. B'ezrat Hashem.